Hello, and thanks so much for tuning in. My name's Jamie. Today I want to talk about what it feels like when I'm following my intuition, when I'm only taking the step directly in front of me. And it's been very interesting this whole journey. I've taken lots of leaps in faith, meaning follow my intuition to where it tells me to go or what it tells me to do. Sometimes I'm shown right away, like why my intuition was telling me to do that. Other times, like right now, being in Australia, I have no idea why I feel to stay in this particular place longer. And I don't know when that's going to get revealed. I don't know anything like that. But from previous experience, I know that I'll get a very clear sign when I need to shift. Or at least that's what I'm going for. Like, that's what I'm hoping for. And yeah. So recently I was trying to decide whether or not to stay in this particular town where I'm at right now. And my mind was wanting to kick on because my intuition got quiet, which I really see now was just like getting me to a deeper state of trust on my path and a deeper state of trusting in my own spirit. Because, if it was just like loud all the time, I guess, I don't know, like you wouldn't even realize that your mind would kick on if it wasn't. And so you wouldn't have the opportunity to move past that, right? And for me, I had to just go back to meditation, something that I learned and did years ago. And so I was like guided to go back to that practice, which I've already talked about in another video. But it's been really interesting because some things will be very obvious on my path. Sometimes I'll get a very obvious feeling in my body when it's a yes or it's a no with something. And other times, like on this trip, it's gotten a lot quieter. But at the same time, like I'm just trusting that everything's lining up like it's supposed to. And I've been shown along the way, especially if you've been watching my videos in recent times, you'll hear this of like things that got confirmed for me by places that I stayed anyway. So yeah, basically, I was trying to decide whether or not to stay in this town. And I was given the information for a house, contact information for a house here by a friend on the same day that something ended up happening at the hostel. So really interesting note because we were gone all day, me and my old roommate at the hostel, and we were out and about, going to the beach, going to the bush, and we got dropped off around dinner time, like 5:30 or so. Hadn't been back all day, hadn't been to my room, and something in me, I was like, I'm gonna stay down here. I'm gonna go to the pool. So instead of going up to my room, I just stayed down at the pool, and I had no idea why I was doing that. In fact, it felt rather strange that I felt to do that because, like, when you get back home, you just feel to drop your stuff off, drop your pack off, like, maybe lay on your bed for a minute, just have a moment. And instead, I found myself going to the lounger in the pool, in the gated pool. So I was like, okay. So I just did it because it felt, look, it just came so naturally in that moment. I didn't really have to think about it. I just felt to do it so strongly. And almost immediately, once I got to the pool, I started hearing yelling upstairs. I had no idea what was going on. I heard someone yelling, and I look up and I see that it was my roommate. Not the one that I had just hung out with all day, but a new one that had been placed in my room. And yeah, I just heard her yelling. So I was like, okay, there you go. I guess that's why I'm not going up there. And she hadn't been home the night before. And so I was like, she could have been out doing who knows what. And so anyway, I just stay at the pool, whatever. And then at one point, I thought she was on her phone and continued to yell. And she's in the bathroom now. And then I heard something that tipped me off that she wasn't alone in there, that someone else was in there with her, and that she was like actually yelling at a person. And it was then that one of the workers went in. Next thing I know, I see my friend come out that I'd hung out with all day. And I was like, oh crap, So anyway, this whole thing happened. And as it was happening, the biggest thing that came up for me was, I gotta get out of here. And it wasn't out of like fear. It wasn't out of, it just felt like a big sign. It's the best way I can describe it. It was a big, obvious sign that I needed to leave. And I immediately then thought of the name and number that had been given to me for a house in the area to stay in. Not a coincidence that happened. And all in like the same moment, it was like, okay, I gotta leave, and I'll call this place tomorrow. Done. I didn't have to think. I didn't have to figure it out. I didn't have to hem and haw about it. It was literally that obvious to me in the moment. So in the following day, I ended up doing that, contacting the person with the house, and now that's where I'm at right now. So, in times like this where I'm still here, I still feel to stay here. Look, I have no idea why. I have no idea why I'm staying here. It's very hot at this point, and I'm living a pretty low-key existence. It's not super adventurous. I'm not going snorkeling all the time. I'm not doing a whole lot, really. But on one other hand, I feel to make these videos now. Maybe that's what I'm doing here. Maybe that's what this is all pushing me to. I'm being more consistent with it. In my head, I'm posting every day. But I have no idea where this is going. I have no idea if anyone's going to listen to these. I have no idea what's going to happen one day to the next where I'm at. But I'm just following it. And yeah, it's been really interesting because, in following my intuition to get me to this particular place, it's led to such beautiful experiences of getting shown the bush here, of getting taken all around, of getting taught about medicinal plants here. Like, it's been so beautiful. So I'm like, I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And my mind's wanting to be like, but why are you here? What are you meant to be doing here? Like, what's going to come up this time here? You've done all these things. Is there really more to do here? And I have to just be like, I have to just quiet it and keep going. Knowing that, look, it's happened before that when I was questioning, things became obvious. And when it was time to move, it was obvious. So why wouldn't it keep lining up like that? And sometimes in life, we follow our intuition and we have no idea why. It could have been easily experienced that, say, when I followed my intuition at the hospital, that nothing came about that was obvious to me. But maybe there was something behind the scenes that lined me up with or removed me from. Like, sometimes we never know. But what I've been shown along my path is to always follow my intuition. It always makes life better. And, on this journey here in Australia, I've had so many things happen where I didn't follow little bits of intuition and was shown later how it would have been helpful. Nothing big, luckily. Nothing that dropped me on my ass, but little ones that line me up to follow the bigger ones. Because I've seen what's come about as I've ignored it, and even though they've been just like little things that didn't happen, it really gave me the insight to follow the bigger one, like at the hostel. So anyway, let's just say nothing is as it seems, and we never know what's coming down the line. We never know like why we're being guided to do what we're being guided to do. All we have really is our trust. And for me, like, I've developed this trust relationship with my spirit over time, and it's gotten me here. And it's gotten me to amazing people, amazing experiences. So I continue to trust, even though I know from past experience, from recent experience, that we're only ever shown the first step in the staircase, and we just have to follow it. And we don't have to have all the answers. And it's one of the downfalls of our minds, of how we're taught to be so in our minds, of our minds, from an early age. I mean, school, learning how to read, books, all of it puts us into our minds. That was one of the big takeaways from A Total Reset. Was in the book, Patty Rose asked about, what was his greatest accomplishment in life? And he immediately answered his grandson. And when asked why, it was because he never learned to read and write. Learning to read and write turns our minds on, puts us out of touch with our own true feeling, as the Aboriginal people would say, as it was talked about in that book. I highly recommend that book. So good. So much amazing knowledge in that book. But yeah, it disconnects us from our feelings, from our spirit, from our intuition. And, it's interesting to think about, like, how would I have moved through this experience had I never learned to read and write? Had I never went to school? Had I never been taught all those things that were just so commonly taught in the Western world? Like, what if I was more in touch with my spirit, but from an early age? What if I was taught true feeling and how to follow it, and the importance of following it from a young age? Like, these are all things I ask myself as my mind goes crazy and turns on, right? Because, like, it's a process for me to shut that off. So anyway, yeah, it's all an experiment. Thanks for being here and for watching. I appreciate you. Let me know in the comments if anything resonates with you, if you're learning anything from these videos, if you're enjoying these videos. I would love to hear from you. I know I don't have very many subscribers, but really, if I impact one person, that's really all that matters, right? Everything that we do, if we can impact one person's life in a positive way, one animal's life in a positive way, one tree's life in a positive way, all of it ripples out. All of it is important. So have a beautiful day.